This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 148, entitled Changing Your Questions Changes Everything. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a certified faith-based life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or your circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome to this week's podcast episode. I want to try something with you right now. Wherever you are, driving or at the gym, folding laundry, pause for just 5 seconds and notice the last question that you asked yourself. Was it something like, why am I so behind today? Or what's wrong with me? Or maybe, why can't I figure this out? That question in your head isn't just a passing thought. It's actually programming your brain's GPS, and it's determining exactly where you'll end up. Today, we're going to be exploring how the questions you ask yourself might be the most underrated power you possess, and why changing just a few words could completely transform your results. Welcome to the Seasons of Joy podcast, and today we are diving into the question revolution, how to stop asking questions that trap you and start asking questions that free you. Think about it this way. If I was to ask you, why can't you lose weight? Your brain immediately starts looking and generating answers. I have no willpower, or my metabolism is slow, or I'm too busy to exercise. But what if instead I asked, how could making healthier choices become more enjoyable for you? Suddenly, your brain shifts directions completely. It begins searching for creative possibilities instead of limitations. Now, this isn't just positive thinking. It's about understanding how our brains actually work. The questions we ask ourselves are like search queries that we type into the most powerful computer in existence, our minds. And just like any search engine, what we type in determines what results we get back. I remember a period in my life when I felt stuck in a cycle of frustration with some of the relationships in my life. And I would often ask myself, why is this relationship so hard? And guess what? My brain helpfully provided an extensive list of everything wrong with that other person. But the turning point came when I began asking a different question. Instead of, why is this so hard? I began asking, what could make this situation better? Or what kind of person do I want to be in this relationship? This simple shift didn't magically fix my relationships, but it completely transformed how I approached them. I started noticing opportunities I'd been blind to before. I discovered beautiful things I enjoyed about the other people in my life. And most importantly, I moved from feeling like a victim to feeling like someone that had choices. So what is actually happening in our brains when we ask questions? Neuroscience shows us that questions direct our attention, and where our attention goes, neural energy flows. Each question that we ask triggers a cascade of thought patterns, emotions, and ultimately actions. Disempowering questions like, why can't I? Or what's wrong with me? Activate our brain's threat response. It feels dangerous. We literally put ourselves in a defensive position, which narrows our thinking and our creativity. By contrast, empowering questions like, how might I? Or what possibilities exist here? Activate the prefrontal cortex, that part of our brain that is responsible for innovation, problem solving, and complex thinking. So let's dive a little deeper into how to actually begin crafting more quality questions in your daily life. I'm going to share with you some tools for your toolkit of question transformations that will work in virtually any situation. So the first one I want to talk about is question reframing. Let's begin with this simple but powerful framework that I call from to. Here are 5 transformative question shifts that are going to help you begin the process of more empowering questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? How about trying, what is this situation teaching me? The first question assumes victimhood, which is so disempowering. The second question assumes growth, which is so empowering. Instead of asking, why can't I figure this out? Try instead, how might I approach this differently? The first question assumes limitation. The second question opens possibilities. Instead of asking, why don't people understand me? Instead, try, how can I communicate more clearly? The first question blames others. The second question empowers you. Instead of asking, why am I so bad at this? Try asking, what small improvement could I make today? The first question generalizes failure. The second question focuses on specific progress. Instead of asking, why can't I stick with anything? Try asking, what would make this process more engaging for me? The first question reinforces a negative self-story. The second question invites creativity. Can you see those small shifts change the direction? It transforms the questions into something that moves you forward. The second thing I want to talk about is question timing. Now, when you ask questions, the timing of it matters almost as much as what we ask. So I want to share with you 3 strategic timing approaches. 1, morning questions. What if you could start your day with questions like, what's one thing I could do today that would make everything else a little bit easier? Or what would make today more meaningful? These questions prime your brain to start scanning for opportunities and purpose before the day even begins. Another timing approach is interruption questions. When you feel frustration or stress rising, interrupt the pattern with a question like, what's another way to see this? Or what else is true here? This creates a critical pause between stimulus and response. Now, I want to be clear here. I teach people to process their emotions, and that does not change in this situation. But oftentimes what happens, as it did with myself, we fall into these emotional patterns. I was in a pattern of frustration. Yeah, I'm going to feel frustrated sometimes, but when I notice this pattern, it's a reoccurring pattern, I can interrupt with a question that's going to create that pause, that space, so that I can choose to show up differently in that situation. Another timing strategy is evening reflection questions. End your day with what went well today that I want to build on, or what did I learn today that could help me tomorrow? These questions train your brain to identify progress and pull wisdom from the experiences that you're having. Another tool that you can use to help your questions become transformative and empowering is to notice if you are in a why pattern. Many people find themselves in this pattern. And I'm going to illustrate this pattern using questions that are tailored to common challenge areas. I want you to pay attention to see if you can see the pattern here. So for work challenges, we might be asking, why is this project so overwhelming? But could we begin asking, how can I break this down into smaller, manageable pieces? For relationship tensions, we might be asking, why doesn't this person appreciate me? When we could be asking, what needs might they be trying to meet with their behavior? Or for health goals, we might be asking, why do I always fail at staying consistent? But maybe we could begin asking, what changes to my environment could I put in place that would make my desired habits easier? Or for financial concerns, we might be asking, Why can I never save enough? But we could be asking, where are the small opportunities to align my spending with what is important to me, my true priorities? Or maybe even, what is one small change I could make today that would help me move closer to where I want to be? Or for creative blocks, we might be asking ourselves, why can't I come up with anything good? But maybe we could ask, what would I create if I knew I couldn't fail? So you've probably noticed that in these situations, the questions we're beginning with why, they aren't the ones that are going to help us move forward. They're sending our brain into that search mode, trying to find reasons to prove that why true. But the why questions may be keeping you stuck and preventing you from taking empowered action. If you're feeling this way, and that's not to say we're never going to ask why. Sometimes we do want to ask why. But in situations like this, when you're feeling stuck and it's preventing you from taking steps forward, empowered action, right? If you're feeling this way, maybe begin shifting to questions that begin with how, what, or where instead of why. Another tool that you can use is the insight ladder. I want to share this 5-step process to help you begin to ask more powerful and meaningful questions that can, again, help you move forward to the next best step. It has 5 levels, and it's a ladder. I want you to envision this ladder, 5 rungs. And on the first level, it's about awareness, right? At this level, it's about what's happening. It's about observation. You're just going to simply notice and name your current situation without judgment. That's what we call in the model the circumstance, right? The things that are kind of outside of our control in that minute. You are going to begin creating space between yourself and the experience. So, for example, instead of thinking, this is terrible, you ask, what exactly is happening right now? What are the observable facts? Perhaps you notice that you're feeling overwhelmed with the deadlines that are approaching at the same time. This level grounds you in reality rather than the catastrophic interpretations. It's like taking a clear snapshot of your current state. So you can even talk about how you're feeling. That is what is happening, but you observe it from a place of non-judgment. This next level of this ladder is, why is this important to me? Or the significance. And you'll notice this is a why question, but pay attention to the difference that this question is, right? It's asking a reflective question, not why this is a problem or what's wrong with you. It's tapping into the significance of what is going on. So why is not a question we don't ever ask, but we want to pay attention to when we are asking why. So once you've observed what's happening, this question helps you connect with your values and your priorities. What makes this situation meaningful rather than just a problem? For instance, why do these deadlines matter to me? Well, the answer could be because delivering quality work reflects my professional integrity. That's the kind of professional I want to be. And these projects support my team's goals, which I want to be a part of. This level transforms abstract stress into meaningful challenge by reconnecting with your deeper motivation. So again, this is a perfect time to ask a why this matters to me. That's a different question than why am I failing at this? Why am I so overwhelmed with this? Right? We're asking a deeper why. So level number 3 is, what patterns do I notice? Pattern recognition is so important. So we're going to engage our analytical mind to identify reoccurring themes or cycles. And this question can help you step out of reactivity into insight. So you might ask a question like, how have I faced similar situations before? What typically happens when I feel this way? What triggers these feelings of overwhelm? Those are really powerful questions. And perhaps you might notice I tend to underestimate how long tasks take, especially creative ones. When stressed, I also procrastinate by overplanning rather than starting. So this level is about revealing hidden structures beneath the surface problems, offering points where you could shift some things to create lasting change. It's noticing those patterns that when you are intentional, you can shift to create something different instead of just reacting to what's happening. And then level 4 is what's the opportunity here? What are the possibilities? With clear observation and connecting to the significance to you and being aware of the patterns that you notice, you can now expand into possibility thinking. This question invites creative reframing. Instead of seeing only obstacles, you might ask yourself, how could this challenge actually benefit me? What could this situation be preparing me for? What skills might I develop through this? Perhaps you might even ask or remind yourself that this is an opportunity to finally implement that priority system that you've been meaning to try. Or it could also help you demonstrate leadership under pressure, right? What are some things that you could learn from this situation? This level transforms problems into potential catalysts for growth and innovation. And finally, level 5 is what's one action that could create momentum. So this final level bridges insight into impact through focused action. So rather than trying to solve everything at once, this question identifies the smallest viable step forward. You might ask yourself, what single action, if taken now, would create positive momentum or movement? What's the minimum effective dose of action needed, right? What's the bare minimum that could begin to move things forward? So for example, I'm going to spend 20 minutes right now making progress on the most important report section without worrying about it being perfect. I don't need it to be perfect. I'm just going to take action by spending 25 minutes making progress, right? This level converts understanding into tangible results through being strategic and taking manageable action. So how can we apply this ourselves? So let's walk through a real world example of using the insight ladder to transform a common frustration. So maybe your initial thought is, I'm terrible with money and I always will be. So let's use the ladder. Let's use this framework to transform this frustration into something empowering. So level 1, we're going to observe what's actually happening with my finances right now. I've noticed that I've overspent my budget 3 months in a row, particularly in the dining out category. Level 2 is that significance. Why does this financial situation matter to me right now? Well, it could be that financial stability would allow me to pursue more meaningful work options and reduce that anxiety that just sticks around in the background of my life. Then level 3 is that pattern recognition. What patterns do I notice in my spending behavior? I tend to use dining out maybe as a stress relief after difficult work days. And I rarely check my accounts until after the fact, right? I've noticed a pattern. Level 4 is about possibility. What's the opportunity in this financial challenge? This could be the catalyst to finally develop a sustainable relationship with money that balances enjoyment and security. And then level 5 is about taking action. What's one action that would create financial momentum? Maybe it could be I set up automatic alerts when my dining budget reaches 75% so that I have awareness before I overspend. So see how different this outcome is from the initial self-defeating thought? By climbing the insight ladder, you've transformed this generalized negative self-judgment into something specific insight and actionable strategy. The power of this technique lies in its progressive nature. Each question builds upon the previous one, guiding you from the surface awareness to meaningful action without skipping crucial steps in between. The beautiful thing about question transformation is that it doesn't require special equipment, expensive coaching, or hours of your time. It simply requires awareness and the willingness to redirect your mental energy. And I want you to remember that, again, this isn't about forcing positivity when you're genuinely struggling. It isn't about trying to just think happy. It's about asking questions that actually lead you somewhere productive instead of questions that keep you stuck. So I want to leave you with a challenge for this week. It's called a question audit. For the next few days, maybe you could carry a small notebook, or you could use your phone's note app. And when you catch yourself feeling stuck, you're frustrated, or you feel defeated, write down the question that's running through your mind in that moment, and then deliberately craft a more empowering alternative. Then you're going to be amazed at how quickly this practice can shift your entire perspective on challenges you're facing. The questions we choose to ask ourselves aren't just words. They shape our experiences. This isn't about glossing over hard times or difficulties with a forced positivity. It's about recognizing that where we focus determines what we'll see and ultimately what we'll create. The beauty of the insight ladder is that it acknowledges challenges while creating a pathway through them. Your problems don't just disappear, but your relationship to them transforms. As you navigate the days ahead, remember this simple truth. A thoughtfully crafted question can open doors your mind didn't even know existed. Your next breakthrough might just be one question away. This is Jill Pack, and you've been listening to the Seasons of Joy podcast. Until we meet again, stay curious and keep climbing your insight ladder. Thank you for tuning in to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends and family. If you want to learn more about me or how to work with me, just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and have a joyful week.